Just be a moment. There he is.
Whoa,
Let's go. How you doing, dude? Oh, dang it. I should go put a
doing
tank top
good.
on. Dang it.
I mean,
Oh.
you can go change right now if you want to. Don't mind. I
Yeah,
have time.
no, I won't make people wait, but you're making me
No,
want to, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well myself. I'm finally into maps after playing the campaign, all the way through. There was no
Nice.
joking around with my dialogue option perusing and upgrading my items and looking at every single shop and the like. I was having a good time.
That's how you gotta do it, man. Like, I've definitely spent a lot of time just like exploring, like reading all the in-game wiki and everything, just like tinkering. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel the rush just yet. I'm not metagaming just yet. I'm holding off for now. So I got that for
That's
sure.
awesome, man. That's good. So where are you in the game? Because I haven't been watching any of your streams or
Yeah, I
listening
mean,
to any
I don't blame you,
videos.
right? No one's watching anyone's streams right now. We're all just gaming, right? So I'm, I think level 91 or 92.
Okay.
Probably been farming T15s for like a couple days now. And yeah, the up next is basically gonna be like pinnacles and stuff, right? I'm like just in the final gearing, so like that's where I'm at right now. So yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so what build did you go Merc like you were planning
I
to,
did go
or
Merc. I
yeah?
went gas grenade, and yeah, it's been working out fairly well. It's been good. Single target could use. Sometimes it's amazing. I just need to like solve some like elemental resistance stuff. You need to add like fire exposure, which I already have. Pardon. I need to add like flammability or fire pen, right? Just to, like for some of the more tankier stuff. Other than that, like it's feeling really good. I think I'm almost at like 4,000 HP, which is very strong. When I get my fourth lab, I'm gonna get like a little bit more macro stacking going. I think I have like 8k evasion and like 5k armor, so it's feeling really good. So yeah,
Oh, definitely. And you're still playing Gas Grenade. I know that was a
yes,
nerfed
yes.
ability. Still strong?
Yeah, yeah. So it's funny, right? I was like playing explosive grenade, and then like I took a break and I just focused on the campaign. Right, I was writing a campaign guide and whatnot. And during that time, apparently everyone found out gas grenades OP, which I missed out on. And then but then I used it afterwards, and it was still apparently better than explosive grenade. So I missed out on the OP part of it, but it's still pretty good.
Oh, lit. Well, that's sounds like you've been experimenting a little bit then with your Merc,
Mhm.
and you've only played that so far. How have you felt the customization experimentations option are in PoE 2 compared to PoE 1, at least at this part of the game, one weekend?
Customization. I'm thinking about that, right? Because I started out, I was looking for just like the most OP damage support gems, right? But
Yeah.
then I couldn't do that because there's all these like small things. One of them being mana. Mana is such a pain in the. I'm not. I don't know if you have a language thing here, so I won't say
No,
it.
you
But
can. It's fine.
okay, it's a pain in the ass. Like straight up, I hate mana, but like I'm getting used to it. I'm starting to accept that it's part of the balance. Just I've changed my gear so many times to solve mana. For example, like elemental focus and primal armaments, right? In theory, I'd want to use like primal armaments is 25% more weapon elemental damage, and LD focus is the same amount, but it also has the downside you can't apply elements, right? But
Right.
I think LD focus does not have a 1.2 mana multiplier, so I ended up making changes like that. There's a lot of like cool things to think about. For example, like you really want to like get overlaps and gas grenades, so, like magnified effect is like really good. Not traditional damage gem, which does kind of like bring me back to like 10 years ago. This kind of
Okay.
this whole idea I've had from like PoE2 launch right now kind of feels like PoE1 launch 10 years ago. I'm seeing like so many similarities, right? The support gems right here, like, we're not going straight for multipliers, right? We're going for like, things that like buff the damage a different way. Area effect being a good example, right? Like exalting maps, right? Like I'm exalting maps now, right? And I bet you in the office are like, yo, remember when back in the day when players exalted maps? What if we just made them do that again? You know what I mean? So like, there's like so many of these vibes I'm just like feeling right now. So yeah, it's really cool.
So you are one of those OG players, man. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying you're seeing lots of similarities for people who
Mhm.
might be completely new to the franchise with PB2, and there's a lot of people like that on my channel. Could you just give a little bit of insight on how that one feels and what those similarities actually are? I think it'd be really
Right.
interesting to talk about.
The big one is the game slower. I definitely mentioned the fun ones like exalting maps and just more interesting support gem choices instead of just going for more damage multipliers. Um, Monsters are dying way slower now compared to modern PoE1, and it's very similar to the past. What else? What else? Monsters were really scary back then too.
Yeah.
Modern PoE1 monsters are kind of a joke, right? It's kind of like an arcade experience, right? I'd say. Yeah, monsters you're definitely scared of. I'm just thinking the Lunara's tentacle miscreations back in the day. Those things were terrifying, right? Devourers were terrifying. There's probably more if I really like look up some VODs or something. But I kind of like that's pretty cool, right? So those are the couple from the top of my head right now. I'm sure I'll think of more as we keep going. So
Oh, 100%. I'm
yeah.
curious too, dude, because I just broke into the end game. And
Oh, okay.
I
Nice.
loved the campaign of PoE2.
Yep.
I thought it was much slower. I was much more engaged the entire time. I was interacting with a lot of the different systems. Then when I
Hmm.
hit Cruel, I don't know what it was, if it was like just my build coming together, or maybe I
Yeah.
had a weapon upgrade that I don't quite remember, but everything started dying like this. And it's been like that all the way into early map. So I've done a T6 map at maximum, and still the boss, I'm a lightning monk. I didn't
Okay.
use any build guides or anything. I'm just like, oh, that's a cool
Good.
part of the
Yeah.
passive tree. Oh, that's a cool support gem. And the
I've been doing
bosses
it the same way. It's
last
awesome.
like 6, 7 seconds and everything's dying really quick. And I'm like, this feels like I stepped into PoE1 again. What's going on? But you're here saying, the monsters are like more dangerous and they die slower. Does it scale differently as you start juicing your maps and getting to T15s? Lay it on me, man, because I'm a noob when
I,
it comes to
I
endgame.
feel some similarities to what you're just saying, right? So like I will repeat the same sentiment. The campaign, like cinema masterpiece, just like amazing, right? Like it felt really polished. It's just right. But then as I scaled up the map tiers, I definitely felt like this is kind of starting to become a little bit like modern PoE1. Example I could give is so I didn't use a loot filter until I got to like tier 15s or something, right? And then
Mhm.
'cause there's just like so much loot dropping, right? Then I just used Never Sinks filter, and
Yeah.
even that was like not enough. My screen was cluttered. I had to like turn off loot and stuff like that. So I have like mixed feelings about that. It's like I kind of wish I didn't need a loot filter. That was one of the things that I found very appealing about Path of Exile 2.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of both, right? There's like very scary stuff, and like it's like yeah, this is a PoE2 vibe. And there's also like okay, there's like a lot of loot going on, and like I can kind of skip a lot of progression by using trade and stuff like that. So like I
Yeah.
have these like weird feelings, right? And like they're not like bad, is because like maybe if I want to do things quickly, right? It's not a bad thing to be able to use trade. But I'm just thinking about the SSF journey, right? Like maybe it should be more accessible in like an SSF part to like get to these things, right? But that said, we're only week one, right? So I can't really speak too much about this just yet. So
I know there's so
yeah.
much that's going to change, man. I mean, there's been lots of debates going on. I know right
Hmm.
before launch hit, one video that popped off and just cascaded across the entire
Yeah.
PoE community was yours laying out your feedback for PoE2
Oh
just
yeah.
before it actually released, talking about dodge rolling and phasing and the like. And I want you to convince me, because I guess I'm a masochist, because
Okay.
I loved being surrounded and needing to fight my way out, or saying, all right, I'm an idiot. I know what I did here. I walked into this hallway and I knew the beetles were all going to come out. Why the
Hmm.
hell did I just do that 5 times in a row? I just need to change my approach and I'll be able to get through this thing.
Yep.
Tell me why I am wrong on the dodge roll thing, and why phasing should be more prevalent, if not just a base part of the game. I want to hear it from you, dude.
So it's very hard for me to say someone else is wrong because I think we all have
It's
our own
okay.
subjective opinions. So I will just
Yeah,
speak to my opinion, right?
go for it.
I want to play fast, and I think a lot of players want to play aggressive, right?
Yeah.
So I find the game very easy if, for example, let's say, the monsters were body blocking us all the time, right? What ends up happening is I just play really slow, and there's like a pack of 10 mobs on the edge of the screen, and I know that's scary. I can't handle it. I'm going to pull three of them at once, kill those three, then pull the next three, then pull the next three, right? Whereas if I have the ability to like, dodge roll phase, then I'm going to like, try to like maybe go through them, maybe pull a second pack or whatnot, just
Hmm.
keep moving forward, right? And I guess I find that appealing because I can also because I like speedrunning, right? So I want to go fast, right?
Exactly.
And there's a bit more challenge, right? Whereas like if I'm pulling pack slowly, I kind of know what like every counter almost like feels the same, right? Whereas if I'm like playing really aggressive, then like I definitely can make a mistake at some point, right? Put myself in a situation where I can't handle. So that's my argument for myself for why I like it.
I get that perspective, definitely. I haven't found or I didn't before they made the changes to the dodge roll a little bit to make it a little bit more slippery, as I think
Hmm.
Ziggy D said on Twitter. But I didn't find myself pulling things. I just found myself in just like interesting situations. The one that keeps popping up is that beetle one, because I think that's the one that
Yeah,
probably generated the most like, oh my God, I can't believe
back
these little
through.
beetles
Yeah,
are surrounding me,
they're,
right?
they're
It
frustrating. Yeah,
Right, they are frustrating, but those situations like almost arose organically. It wasn't because there was like 5 monster packs on the edge of the screen that you have to drag. It's because, okay, you're moving down this little corridor and there's all these little holes in the wall, and surprise, beetles are coming out of them. Right? I
yep.
don't know. Maybe I just like that more you know, improvise Dungeons and Dragons-esque like surprise attack and conniving my way out of it. And that might not be well suited for a game where it is pretty fast paced, honestly, like Path of Exile
Yeah,
2. Like as much as people are saying it's slow and we're moving at a snail's pace through these giant maps and everything, it's still pretty dang fast. It always
it
feels like
feels
it's
pretty fast.
forward
Yeah, for sure.
progression, right?
Hmm.
The the meme of like the mercenary kiting monsters all the time in the trailers every time we see them. I haven't experienced that even when I was playing my Merc. Like I'm always like going in with the grenades and like getting up
Yeah,
close to the
same. Yeah.
monsters and stuff. So no, I don't know. I think it's a pretty fast paced game.
Yeah, I could
Would you?
definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Would you say it's like faster paced than a lot of people maybe thought it was going to be going into it? Or
I think so, and I think we're just like at the tip of the iceberg. I've been seeing the Flicker Strike. You've probably seen some gifs or some streamables of that, like people
yeah,
clearing like multiple screens in a row with Flicker Strike. I'm like holding off, like I'm not gonna meta game yet. I'm gonna explore everything at my own pace right now, but eventually I'm sure I'll get there. But yeah, the game is. I noticed it during the press play test. From
yeah.
like Act 1 to like Act 3, you definitely get stronger, feel faster. Um, I'm thinking about your Beetle situation as well, right? Like there's there's arguments like as well for like what you're suggesting for like the old like what do you call it, hitboxes, right? Because
Yeah.
I did have abilities, right? I have flash grenade. There's
Mhm.
things I'm not using yet, like I have voltaxic grenade, which can electrocute mobs. Like you going back to one of your earlier questions about skill gem tinkering, right? Like I'm still
Yeah.
tinkering. I'm like really going, okay, the devs want us to use all these systems. They want us to use combos. They want us to like weapon swap, right? So I'm like going like, okay, there's a solution here, which is more than just press gas grenade, flash grenade, explosive shot, right? There's something more here. And so that's like kind of where a lot of my time has been, at least like the past 2 days, right? Going like, okay, how can I fit in like these 7 other skills and like do
Right.
something cool without buying like, a bunch of gear and like a new crossbow or something, right? Just to, like trivialize content. So I'm
Did
not gonna lie, I lost track of the question. Where were we?
no, no,
I
you're
got really
totally
excited.
fine.
So
No, you're good, dude. I think that
yeah.
was great, and it brings up a cool point. Did you go Witch Hunter or Gemling Legionnaire?
I went Gemling Legionnaire
You
actually.
did. Okay, so you're fitting quite a few skills into your build then.
Yeah, yeah,
So you're
exactly.
not packing lots of buffs and spirit. You're actually trying to do some active skill gems in there too.
Yes, yeah, that's the plan. So I went because they have the double support gem ascendancy, right? So I found that
Yep.
very appealing, which I
Mhm.
actually unspec'd recently because
Oh,
I felt like I just needed so much star ability for endgame maps, and so I ended up going the double effectiveness of stats node. So now I think I have like 400 strength or something, which allows me to get like 4K life. So that's the temporary fix for now until I figure out a new defensive combo, so I can go back to my like, offensive options.
that's very, very cool. And
Yep.
you said at the top that you're working on getting your fourth ascendancy. You haven't reached that yet. You're level 91, 92.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, right? Like,
It is.
so people are telling me it was bugged and stuff. And it's like, okay, if it's bugged, then like whatever, I'll try it later. And, like even in Cruel Lab or like the second ascendancy, the first time we did it, I was like on like a level 70 character, and I'm like, yo, this is actually kind of hard. And it's like a
Oh,
level 50 zone, right? And then
yeah.
people and think I heard stories from like MP's team. They failed like the third ascendancy ultimatum like 3 or 4 times on like level 85 characters. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna wait and do it later. And then heard the stories with the bugs. Like I'll just wait. Maybe it's fixed now. I could probably do it now. My gear is pretty good. I feel I'm tempted to say immortal in maps unless it's like
Oh, wow.
minus max or something. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you
Eventually, though,
going
eventually I'll get it.
are you going into these pretty much blind Havoc? Like, do you know what the bosses are, or like, are you studying them, or are you just going in first time I encounter it? If I fail, and I go again.
Been going in blind for like most of these.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I watched any like clips or anything. I don't think I have.
Oh, that's great.
I've seen some mapping clips of people like doing some cool mapping stuff because like that's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't watched any bosses yet. I am thinking about like for some of the bosses where I need to farm like a bunch of splinters. Like, do I really want to farm 300 breach splinters again? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm leaning towards the just YOLO going blind and like whatever happens happens. At least to
Hey,
start, right? So
hey, and
yeah.
if you're nearing the pinnacle, I know that somebody killed him. I think it was MP's group that killed the pinnacle. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is at all. No spoilers at all here.
Mhm.
But I don't think a solo player has taken it down yet, whatever it is. So
Okay.
could you still be in the running for this, maybe? You know?
I
Even though you're
mean,
not
that would be
trying?
cool, but like I don't feel that urge to like compete. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel
Yeah,
like I need to race to 100 or pinnacles. Like I just want to do my thing. You know what I
it's
mean?
good.
So Yeah,
Well, it would be great if you were
it's been
just
my
doing
thing.
your thing and you ended up winning somehow, man. It would be
That
hilarious.
would be
It would be peak
interesting.
Havoc, you know?
That would be something. I mean, I try to play fast when I play, right? But, I'm definitely
Right.
not, like, spamming the 18-hour, 30-hour sessions or anything, so
Oof, yeah, that's
yeah.
a little rough, dude. I
Yeah.
did a what 14-hour on launch day, and I still don't
Yeah.
think I've recovered. It's been a lot
Yep.
playing just like an hour here and there for me so far. After those few initial days when I went really hard in, just because I have a lot of other stuff going
Yeah.
on. But yeah, I don't know if I could do an 18-hour after like even a 6-hour day. Like that's a long
Yeah.
time to sit and
Yeah.
play, dude. So
'Cause you're working too, right? I think?
I'm also working too. Yep, got
Oh,
the
man.
3-month old, the 2.5-year-old
Yep.
who is she's changing, you know?
Okay.
So she's she's a big talker. So, which I love. I
That's
love that
good.
she
Learns
can
from dad,
talk
I
now.
suppose, right? So
Yes, yes, good and bad. So mostly good though. I really appreciate
that's
it.
good.
She asked me about Path of Exile, which is kind of funny. So it's hilarious hearing her already say and talk about it when she's 2.5 years old. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's good. I'll get her in here playing one day. I'll show her some Havoc VODs so she knows how to speed run the Path of Exile 3 campaign by the time she's old enough to play.
I'm working on
So
those. That's my next step. We're working on some, speedrun guides right now, so,
okay, dude, I'm
doing a lot of
so
auditing
curious on
things.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want you to like, give away
Mhm.
any secrets or anything. But one of the big hot button issues is, oh my God, how are we going to do this campaign? Every single league reset on a new character
It's
because
so
they're not
fun,
going to move
though.
on that.
But it's so fun. Why are we complaining?
I
I don't
love it too,
I find
dude.
it fun, but
I
maybe I'm
find it
gonna change my
fun.
mind.
See,
Yeah,
I,
I don't
I
know.
find it fun, and I'm playing through on my second warrior. Dude, Act 1 took
Yeah,
me an hour and a half already. First time it took me 6 hours. So I know you
that's
did
a
it way
huge
faster than
improvement.
that,
That's a huge
man.
improvement.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So how fast do you think people will be able to get down at first, like the first three acts? So getting to through Act 1 boss all the way to Act 3 boss. How long do you think you could get it down to?
Well, I think we can use Neon as a benchmark, so let's just say 5 hours. He did it in
5
5.
hours?
I'm sure we'll get there, right? We're all chasing that, right? So I'm gonna say 5.
That's pretty good. And then when the next three
Yeah.
acts come out, I wonder if it's going to be like that, 7 to 8 hour, because I know that the sixth
It's
act,
gonna be
apparently,
faster,
whatever it
right?
is,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like half the length. So, I mean,
Mhm.
that's not, and I'm sure it's just going to be something where you're consistently getting it shorter and shorter and shorter over the next 5 years,
Exactly.
whatever.
Yeah,
More
like, we
hints
still
and
gotta,
everything.
learn, layouts and, skill combos and just there's just so much to learn, right? So, we're gonna get
Right.
good, for sure.
Yeah, you can switch stuff on the fly. And have you
Yeah.
noticed with the layouts, are there any hints like there are in Path of Exile 1's campaign that like I'm just not seeing when I'm going through these maps right now?
There's a lot of static layouts, so which are, nice
Yeah.
for I think the first zone is static, right? Like, the burrows on the right, and, you go, straight up, you'll find, the boss in Clearfell, the Carrion Crone, and then you also find, the Werewolf Forest zone. I forgot the name right now. I think it's, Grellwood Forest or something, so
Grellwood.
there's a
Yep.
couple yeah, there's a couple of static zones for sure, and then, even, Grellwood Forest, you can kinda, okay, there's, 4 spawn points, right? So you can kinda, do some analysis in your head about okay, this spawn and that spawn point, Redville's probably on the opposite side, and some tinkering there to find the way. But I'm not at the level in PoE1 where I kind of just know
Oh.
every single layout. I go yeah, I'm going exactly there after I saw the 3 trees or something. No, I'm not there yet. So
Yeah.
eventually, hopefully, we'll
Oh
see.
yeah. Oh, people are gonna love those, man, because I think if people can I don't want to discount anyone's opinions, but like learn to love the campaign. A lot of people
Yeah,
I think have learned to love the Path of Exile 1 campaign over the past decade. And it's almost like a shock to the system when
yeah.
they play the POE2 campaign. It's very different. It's very new. There's lots of different intricacies that just aren't existing
Oh
in the
yeah,
Path of Exile 1 campaign. And it's just going to take some adjusting to. And that's what I've been trying to push for a little bit. Maybe in not the best ways, but it's like new game, give it time to cook. Just
exactly. Yeah,
embrace it. You're not going to be as
sure.
used to it right now as you are to Path of Exile 1. Nobody is,
Yeah.
So with PoE2 now being out beside Path of Exile 1, do you see yourself consistently going back and playing PoE1? I'm curious. I know it's only a weekend,
I've
right?
been thinking about that. I'm like, man, when am I gonna play PoE1? I actually don't know right now because there's just in both
Time.
games, I just feel like there's an infinite list of things that I would find interesting to do. So it's I'm sure when I get close to an actual league start PoE1, it's okay, let's just play
Oh
it
yeah.
now for at least a week or 2 or 3, right? But right now, PoE2 definitely has my attention for the next foreseeable future. So
Yeah.
it's hard to say though. How about yourself?
I think I'm gonna have to. probably stick with one or the other for time's
Okay.
sake. Like already right now, like with Path of Exile 1 leagues when they come out, I usually play one character and I play it to max. I get like the challenges, and then I'll bounce until the next league and pay loose attention to what's going on in the community. So I think that's probably going to happen with Path of Exile too. I'm probably going to have to choose given my current lifestyle. And right now, I am liking Path of Exile 2 because even if it does the end game turn into what Path of Exile 1 end game kind of is, very
Yeah.
fast paced, right? Which is what I'm experiencing in early maps. I
Hmm.
still love the progression of the campaign into that. So if they can marry those two
That
really
makes sense.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll really enjoy that. So I wonder if a lot of other people will too. Havoc, have you like did you introduce any new friends to Path of Exile 2 that refused to play Path of Exile 1? I'm curious.
I've told some. I would actually need to follow up with them to see if they actually played, but I've definitely
Yeah.
been like talking about it to people, and it's like, yeah. Also, I'm like unavailable this December, right? Like, no parties, no events. I'm just busy, okay. So, but I've definitely introduced the game to them, like show them some videos and stuff. I should follow up with them, see what they've been up to, right? So,
Yeah, it would be
can't
interesting
say for
because
certain just yet. Yeah,
yeah, I just say that because I know you've probably like maybe tried to get friends to play PoE1 over the years. I have.
definitely.
None of them stuck ever. And a lot of the people that I introduced to PoE2 actually enjoy the game. So I'm wondering like how many people actually did do that second reach out. Like, okay, I tried with PoE1, trying now
Yeah.
with PoE2. Let's see, do they actually enjoy the game? So
Yeah, I got like some
spreading,
gamer cousins and stuff. So
yeah,
they're a bit more casual and whatnot. They're not like super tired or anything. So I've definitely shown it to them, but we'll see. I'll have to follow
okay.
up.
Have you been thinking at all about what your next character might be, or are you just all in on the Merc and Gemling Legionnaire right now?
Right now, I'm all in on the Merc. Next character probably gonna be a Ranger because like I don't know. I guess I like Ranger bows are fun, right? But I do definitely want to just play everything at least once, like all classes.
Right.
Want to do a warrior run, want to do like a monk run, just try it all because like it's I'm definitely taking advantage. Okay, this is a new game. I don't know anything. It's an experience of like fresh discovery, and then like maybe a month or two from now, I'll go like, oh, let's just like start looking up other what's everyone else doing. Let's really
Yeah.
examine like what's the skill gems. Let's go play POB2, right? So
Yeah, soon.
yeah.
We'll see if it pops out. Has there been any uniques that you have found that have really inspired you to try to make something yet? Because I know before release
Mhm.
you were posting all the uniques that you found at the LA playtests,
Yep.
and I think I've seen on Twitter you're posting some new ones that you're finding as you're playing. Have there been any that spoke to you?
Ain't that spoke to me. I'm actually gonna like look at what
Oh
I
yeah,
posted right
log
now.
in, pull
Yep,
up the
logging
unique
in.
stash tab.
Yep.
I was surprised at how many uniques seemingly are in the game. Like I think there's
Yeah,
like
there's a
12
lot.
gloves. There's only 2 crossbows though, and I still haven't seen either of the
Yeah.
crossbow uniques. So I wonder what they
Hey, I'll tell you
yeah.
the most exciting drop was
Oh
during
yeah.
the campaign because
Oh,
one of my friends was playing a cold sork, and then we found a
okay.
turn shiver, and it's basically made freezing act like shock. So enemies frozen by you take 50% increased damage. So that was kind of hype at the time, right?
Oh.
That was really cool. But on my current character, there's like nothing I really want to use, or I'm going like, yo, I need that, right? But I also haven't like looked it up either. Like, what are
Me
the list
neither.
of uniques available for my build?
Yeah.
There's been a couple like there's like some burning ground boots and like a burning ground helmet or something.
Ooh.
Um, I don't really like them because like defense is just so imperative for late game, right? If I equip a
Yeah.
nice rare helmet, my character feels immortal. And then there's also the whole like resist stacking issue. I think Neversing posted to today like the
Oh, okay.
resist real estate. It's like so hard, right? It's definitely a sentiment I've been feeling, especially because it's got to stack chaos res and whatnot, right? So yeah, I
Now,
haven't been like too hyped about uniques just yet, but we'll see if that
okay.
changes.
Now, I'd love if you give me a very quick crash course on defenses in Endgame
Okay.
because that's the one problem I am encountering.
Mhm.
Damage, not a problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Defenses, maybe a little bit of a problem right now for my monk. I might just randomly blow up sometimes, and I think I
Yep.
know what it is, but I don't quite know, and I'm wondering if I should stack like evasion and armor, or just evasion and energy shield,
Yep.
or really like go all in on one thing. Of course, I'm trying to get life on everything,
Yeah, of
but
course.
given the current like systems and tools available, it is hard, at least for me, to guarantee that. What
Okay.
quick tips would you have for people really
Quick
breaking into
tips.
the end
Well,
game?
you mentioned one of them, evasion OP. Like it is actually very strong. When I clicked on the tooltip in game, it says evasion also applies to spell projectiles. I was like, what? That's crazy. I think the more evasion I get, the stronger and tankier I just feel, right? I have like 5k armor right now. I don't think you need that much armor. I think you can get away with no armor at all, right? So it's kind of like a choice. Do you go with like a lower HP pool and like you get some mitigation, or do you go with like a higher HP pool, for example, like these energy shield or like mana stacking characters, and just avoid the armor altogether, right? But if there's one thing between all of them, the avoidance layer. So I finding evasion really strong. But I imagine for other builds like block and active block is probably really good as well, right? And then like the obvious ones like cap your chaos res. Chaos res is so important. And then just capping resist in general. Those are probably like the obvious ones. And then if you want to give you some numbers, 2000 HP kind of felt like enough to get up to like tier 10s, and then like
Okay.
to get to T15s, I felt like I needed like 3000 ish or more, right? And then the scaling after that was like, okay, these maps. So the game kind of encourages you to do like 6 mod maps, I feel, in T15s or
Yeah.
higher. Like you want to start ball orbing, right? So then it's like, okay, if I had 3500 HP and I felt fine, but not anymore because now every map is like LE weakness and minus max or like
Right.
25% LE pen. This is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't fully solved the next level just yet, but now I'm feeling like, okay, I need like 4000 HP, or I need to increase my maximum resist somehow, or just something else, right? So it's definitely getting hard now, right? So that's the next challenge I'm working on solving. But yeah,
With the
evasion
resi-
OG, chaos res, stacker
Okay.
res,
Okay.
you know.
Good. 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 Now the resistance thing. How are you
Yep.
currently gearing your character? Are you relying on trade site, or are you using rares off the ground? Are you using the rudimentary crafting? What's going on there? How are you getting those?
Okay. So first couple days, definitely just pretty much anything I found first couple days. And then afterwards, I think around like day 4 or 5, like, oh, you know what? Let's just try to make some money and just try to upgrade my gear. Because I kind of felt like a little bit at like a wall and like wasn't really getting my upgrades at a quick enough pace that I wanted, right? So I think that day I probably just sold like random 2 exalt to like 20 exalt items just pretty much all day. That was the one day I did play 18 hours. That was a grind of a day. Went from 2k HP to 3k HP, and yeah, used the trade site that day. And then the next day, it bought some really expensive pieces. I think I bought like a 60 exalt ring because that's like 25 all resist and like 5 res on top and like strength
Ooh,
and life and damage and stuff.
that's nice.
Yeah, yeah. Now that ring's probably worth, I don't want to say nothing, it's probably worth like a third of that, but it was worth it at the time. So um,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so you're convincing me, man. I'm not SSF. I'm not trying to
Mhm.
be, you know, not trying to be cool and just try to
Yeah.
get everything myself. So I think tonight might be the day I break into the bank. I just spend
Oh,
all
it's
my
worth it.
exalts and get some
Yeah.
resist gear, go all in on evasion. Acrobatics, is that worth it?
That is.
Or I mean, I can
Yeah.
evade the AoEs. Like I'm fine. I'm
Yeah, yeah. You can
WASD
use
player.
dodge roll. The game definitely encourages using dodge roll on the bosses, right?
It
So
does. It does.
I don't know if it's worth it. The downside is pretty hefty, right? It's like 70% less or something.
Yeah,
So
it's 70% less.
yeah,
So
I'm not feeling that right now.
I
Maybe
think
there's
the
a spot for it,
projectiles.
but
Yeah, the
yeah.
projectiles are the bad thing. That's what keeps getting me,
Yeah.
dude, because the projectiles hit me and then I
Yep.
don't have a stun threshold or anything. So like the projectiles hit and then I get
Mm,
stunned and then the rest of the projectiles come and it's
yep.
over.
The
So,
lost towers, right? Those like Eye of Winter guys and the chaos projectiles in there. Those things definitely got my character like so much at the start. And then it's like, okay, now that I have evasion and capped or like 65 chaos res, perfectly fine now. They're chill.
okay, so this is what I must do. Thank you for bestowing this ancient wisdom or new wisdom upon me.
No worries.
It's the porcupine quill guys too. From
Yep.
literally the first area, they're getting me in maps, and it is pissing
Mhm.
me off. I cannot believe these these guys are destroying me. Ugh.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have to be careful with those. So I'll try that on my monk. I'm curious how characters like the warrior are faring with that sort of thing. Like if evasion is king, I wonder if we're seeing warriors stacking all this avoidance and everything instead of going for armor. Like I said, I
Yeah.
have been like just ignorant to all other gameplay, but
I'm a
I
little bit
have
ignorant too, but I imagine they would be doing block or something if they don't have access to evasion, because there's not really any percent evasion on that side of the tree. I have been looking at the past
no,
tree, right? Seeing like what's where and
yeah.
whatnot. But yeah, I imagine they're doing some block stuff. But if they're running a two-hand, then I don't actually know what they're doing, right? I'd have to like look it up or something.
Well, I also hear, the anecdotal quotes from chat and on Twitter that warrior also just feels the worst so far to play, which
Mm,
is why I'm playing it next. Okay, I'm playing
okay.
it as far as I can next. I want to get the full experience because, dude, I know you haven't played it yet, but
Yep.
the monk feels so fluid. Oh my
Yeah.
god, man! Like it's the best melee I've played in an ARPG, bar none. Just
Are you
the
using a
auto
lot of,
attack.
like, on-kill combos and stuff to, like, generate charges and then, like, blow up the screen? Because I remember they were really, talking about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I use the manual power charge generation. There are some
Okay.
automatic ways to generate them, but I use culling palm or killing palm to get
Yeah.
power charges, and then on bosses you can use siphoning strike to absorb your shock, give yourself a charge, and then use it to power charge staff. I think that's probably the most satisfying skill I've played in the game. It's like Frostblades from PoE1, but you put it on a staff, and it's lightning
Right.
projectiles that just fly everywhere, dude. Oh, it's good. It's really good.
It's awesome.
So yeah, when you get your hands on it, man, it's gonna feel nice. I'm sure it will still be as busted. I'm sure they're not gonna nerf it. Not gonna happen.
Surely,
It doesn't look
surely. I
egregious.
mean, I don't mind it. It's early access. We're expecting this, right? Like, I know people go like, "Hey, this is the main release." No, it's not the release. It's literally early access, right? Like, I'm not surprised that there's a little bit of like jank and
Oh yeah.
polish
Uh-huh.
that needs to be done in the end game, right? Because like hey, we started working on this pretty late, and we worked on the campaign
Yes.
for a long time. Like, it's not a surprise, right? Like, give them time.
That's that. So we talked about it at the start, and that's why I'm just a
Mhm.
little curious. Like, are they gonna try? I don't know if rein in is the right word, dude, but it's very. I feel like it's so fast compared to the campaign. And now that it's in the game, can they rein it in, or can they like change the design? I don't know what necessarily they can. I'm not a game designer, right?
Yeah,
Okay. I obviously
neither
not. I
am
just
I.
play
We just
games.
play
I
the
have
game,
fun.
right? So yeah.
Right. I just enjoy the game, and all I
Mhm.
can do is, point out my feelings on it. And all I know is, dang, what you said, absolute cinema, the campaign. And I got to Endgame and I
Yeah.
was like, holy crap, this feels so different. And maybe it's just because they have only been working on it for like, a short amount of time compared to that campaign, and there's a lot of polish to be done. Or maybe it's because there's just a complete vibe shift once you get to the end game of PoE2, because that is like the ARPG power fantasy, right? You become super, super strong. I just felt like the curve was like too fast. Maybe I just hit like a power spike that I didn't
You feel like you got
realize.
too strong too quickly,
That's what
or
because, yeah,
yeah?
okay. So here's an example.
Okay.
Act 3,
Yeah.
non-cruel. The
Mhm.
final boss, I won't spoil just in case people haven't gotten there yet, but the final
Okay.
boss, great fight, long fight. I have to dodge out of the
Yeah.
way. One time I ran out of my pots and it screwed me over, so I had to go back to town and get the recharge, the like roll for the recharges
Yeah.
slowly, so it recharges during the fight. Fixed that, was able to do it. It was a pretty prolonged fight, really epic. I was sweating, awesome. I get into cruel. I kill the bloated Miller in about 10 seconds. I get to the next boss. It's
Yeah.
even shorter. The next boss, even shorter. Everything's just dying around me. Everything's falling super fast. And I speed through. Do Act 1 cruel in about an hour 10. The final Act 1
Yeah.
boss also dies almost instantly. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what the heck just happened? Like, this is not what was going on. I liked the.
But would you want it to be the same length as the first half? Like the repeat?
I don't
'Cause
think
that
I
might
want it to
feel
be the
long
same
then,
length.
right?
I don't think
Well,
I want it to
yeah.
be the same length. I just was so shocked at how much easier it was. I think that's what it was. It was like I
Yeah.
was taken aback because
But it's your second time though, right? Because like, you've already gotten good, right, from, like, doing it in normal mode, so
so I do agree with that because I also did on my warrior, right?
yeah.
I've already done Act 1 and part way of Act 2. Didn't die on any of the fights, but I was still very engaged in all those fights.
Mhm.
And the Act 1 final boss, another example, dead in 10 seconds. I stunned him once and he was gone. That's
Yeah.
it. I didn't dodge anything. It was just like bell, done. Fight over essentially. So I don't know. I feel like
I
there has
guess
to
I
be a.
kinda see what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, the question is, like, should we, you know, be able to outgear the content, right? And, like, different people are gonna have a different opinion on that. It's almost like choose your own challenge because, like,
Right.
if you're trying to go really fast or low gear, then yeah, there's no outgearing. You're using dodge roll everything. Neon is beating the game in 5 hours. He's probably dodge rolling everything and using like, normal and blue items for all I know, right? Um, but like until we get that skill and whatnot, then yeah, our solution right now is to just outgear, right? So like I'm kind of wondering if it's like not a problem yet because like right now we just see the solution of outgearing, right?
Yeah.
Um but as we, naturally try to go quicker and stuff, we're like, "Oh yeah, I can just do this with less," you know? Um
There could also be something
Yeah.
too, Havoc, that I
Yeah.
just thought of. Maybe I'm an idiot.
Mhm.
Maybe this won't be a problem when Act 4, 5, and 6 are in the game. Maybe the
That's
cruel
true.
scaling is a little wonky, like the numbers
Yeah.
aren't there yet, and the design there is like they designed the game obviously to build up from acts 1 to 2 to 3 mechanic
Yeah.
wise and skill
Mhm.
wise and introduce these new enemies and these new like attack types and everything. Maybe once acts 4, 5, and 6, that transition from act 1 all the way to act 6 into endgame will feel a lot better, and my complaints will just be like thrown out the window, and it
Yeah.
just feels a little janky because of the current setup. That's always a possibility.
Yeah. I think
So
I could definitely see that too, for sure. Because like, yeah, it just goes back to what they said, right? Like, Acts 1 to 3, they were focusing doing the whole campaign. That's like, oh wait, people really want Endgame. Okay, let's just change things now, right? And it's
yeah.
like, okay, they probably don't want to do Acts 1 to 3, at the same length. That's to make it a little bit easier so they get to maps faster, right? Um, yeah,
Okay.
it could totally be a non-issue in the future for sure.
Here you go. Now I'm curious because you were around in POE1 when you had to
Mhm.
replay the campaign 3 times.
Oh
Was
yeah.
this the case? Time 1 was harder than time 2, which was, or sorry, was so time 1 was the hardest, and then time 2 was easier, and then time 3 was easier. Was that how the scaling worked? Yeah. Or like, was
I'm
it a
tempted to say old PoE1 was hard into harder into even harder. I'm trying to, if I recall correctly. I remember like I think Malachi, you didn't even need to kill him or something. Like he was like a bonus thing, and it was like that was kind of like an Uber boss back in the day, right? And there's like different updates of the game where like it was like just different like Act 2 final boss or Act 3 boss was like, oh my god, this boss is crazy, right? Um, it was hard. It was really hard back then. I don't think it
yeah?
got easier. It just got
Okay.
harder, if anything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we got to put up a side by side of Val Oversoul versus the Act 2 final boss or something in PoE2. The evolution is wild, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And people used to, they were sweating with the I remember I've seen the
Dodge the
clips,
slam. Dodge the slam, right?
Yeah. The
Oh,
OG Path of Exile slam that,
no,
killed thousands of players and
nope.
everything. So, yeah.
Vacuum cleaner versus the new boss. We're not spoiling, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the vacuum clean that is what they wanted to design, I think, with the Roomba or vacuum cleaner.
Yep.
I imagine that's what like Neon probably was like in his head. He was like, yeah, we're gonna do all this, and then the designers are like, yeah, well, we have these resources available, so this is what we are going to do. And then he's like, now unlimited resources,
Yeah.
we're going in. Uh yeah, the spectacle's so good. I feel like a lot of the discussion around Path of Exile 2, the past week especially, has been on what can they change? What balancing needs to be done in all
Yep.
this? But man, the way that they cobbled all this together the past 5 years, like the environments, the sound design, the
Oh
the
yeah.
feel of the skill gems, like the UI, I feel like it all meshes together really well, and all the rest is just like a numbers game. What do you think has been most impressive to you in terms of the graphics or the visuals of the game thus far?
Music is like almost my number one actually.
Okay.
Which is not the graphics or visuals. So if I think about that for a moment,
Yeah.
dude, sometimes I just sit in like the login menu, like I'm like doing non-PoE stuff. I just like I'm in game or in my hideout, like doing trades at the same time, just like have music blasting in the background from in game. It's definitely way up there above the graphics. Um, the graphics, I mean, this is just like all good. Okay, I went Untainted Paradise. I went in there the other day. It's like a map.
Oh,
New layout, amazing. Yeah, it's just like you want me to spoil some stuff from it, or you want me to say amazing? Like,
I think that guys, he's gonna spoil some stuff for a unique map. I know some people care. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go in, Havoc. I don't care.
okay, there's like this dinosaur mob or like elephant mob that comes out of the trees or the cliffs, and it's just like the coolest shit ever, dude. Like, it's
What?
actually like so cool. Like,
Dude. So the
yeah,
unique maps have like special encounters in them?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
What?
It's awesome.
Oh, that's so exciting. See, that's something that I really appreciate about the end game. I haven't really recognized a layout yet. Like they all did
Okay.
a really good job with shifting around the terrains, meshing terrains together and everything. And I'm like, was this even in the campaign? Or did they do that good of a job with this where I don't even recognize it? It's been great so far. So
Yeah,
do you,
I think I'm feeling the same way about that one. Yeah. Some layouts I don't like, I'll tell you that. Augury is one of them. I'm not a big fan of the lever, but overall, feeling pretty happy with layout so far in maps. Yeah.
that was my first map, man. And I was like, oh, I
Same.
better.
Same.
Oh, okay. So maybe we got the same seed. I was thinking, oh, please. I hope all maps do not have this lever thing to open up the center room. I was like, no.
Yeah. And then you open the lever and you're just like stuck and the mobs are hitting you. And it's like, I didn't sign up for this, you know? Like now I skip the
I
map if possible.
yeah, I haven't run into it since, thank goodness.
No.
How do you feel about the Atlas and how it's changed from PoE 1 to PoE 2? Are you a fan of the infinite layout, kind of like Delve, or were you a fan of the old system, a little bit limited system?
I think I like the old system. There's the more I play, there's a little bit of tedium I'm starting to feel. Um,
Okay,
for example, like the juicing, right? You have to like run the watchtowers, then like they're kind of like not that great to actually put your good maps in. You kind of like
right.
so like I'm farming T15s. I got a random T6 in my inventory. I'm putting that for the watchtowers, right? And then we're doing this whole like setup thing, you know, where you like run a bunch of watchtowers first, and then you throw some precursor tablets into all of them, and then it's like, okay, now I can finally do all these nice layouts here. Um, so I'm not a big fan of that, but what else? Anything else I find cool about it? I mean, I definitely like just the whole concept of like exploring the world, right? Like
Yeah.
visually seeing it. I think that it's going to help a lot of people, and it is like
Hmm.
cool. It is cool. You know, it's interesting. So
It's
I like
that
that part
wow
of it.
factor, you know? I
Yeah,
do
yeah, it's
feel
cool.
when I opened it for the first time in game, not seeing it in the showcase or whatever, I sat there just, oh, this is good. I really, really love it. This is
Yeah.
great. But I feel the same about the Watchtowers. And I compared it earlier when I spoke to Local to
Hmm.
the Crucible or the Forge of the Titans from Crucible League. And I thought that was a missed opportunity as well
Yeah.
because it was a static map layout with the same thing at the end. You're running it the same reason as you're running these
Yep.
watchtowers essentially to try to get to this little piece of UI at the end.
Yep.
And it's the same mobs. It could have been something way better. I'm
Yep.
curious why they made that design decision. Like put something cool in there, whether it's a boss or a
Yeah.
more randomized layout. Like make people excited, not just to go there to use the tablet, but to
They need
actually
to do
engage with the
something,
map
right? Because
itself.
the layout itself is like actually really beautiful and like looks amazing. And the
It
first
does.
time like I did it, I was like, this is really cool. But then like after 3, 4, 10, 20, 100, it's like I'm not a biggest fan anymore. I would not complain if they removed it, which I know sucks considering how like nice the layout actually looks, but I
Mhm.
don't really want to do them anymore. So
Yeah, I didn't even know that's how they worked. I thought it was just a piece that like you mapped your way to the tower, and then
yeah,
you drug the tablet into the tower in the UI. So when I actually clicked on it and had to put a
yeah.
map in or a waystone, I was like, oh, I have to go in here and
Oh,
clear. Oh,
yeah.
interesting. So I learned
I
that
still
today.
do that all the time. I try to put a tablet in, it's like, oh yeah, I gotta,
Uh, you actually
that
have to run
first.
it first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the other thing that I want to hear your take on because it's going to be
Okay.
in my end game feedback video because it makes me
Okay.
sad, Havoc. Okay.
Okay.
We go from the campaign. We're fighting
Mhm.
bosses every area. I like the
Yep.
bosses, even if I boomed them in Cruel. I
Yep.
still got to fight them every area. And then we come to the end game, and it's one in every four maps. About I feel like it's less. And then if I die on one of those maps, man, it's a special encounter. I didn't know a boss was a special encounter. I lose the boss. I'm feeling bad. I'm like 45 maps in. I've only fought four bosses. Dude, I want more bosses. How do you
I
feel
get
about
that.
them being like this rare as they are now? Do you feel like they're too infrequent or you like that big pop reward when you actually run into them?
I definitely enjoy the rewards when I run into them, but like I
Yeah.
do see what you're saying, right? Like the game we were kind of sold, I feel is like this is a game about bossing, and that it is what we experienced like in Act One, like the first like hour, we probably kill like 9 bosses or
Yeah.
10 or something crazy amount just getting to like the graveyard. Um and then like yeah, you get to maps and it's like it is a bit infrequent. And if you die, you lose all the special buffs, right? And I remember I want to say in the trailer, maybe I'm remembering this wrong. Like they did say you could kind of focus on bosses, and you kind of can, but like it's not really every map, right? And I think it would be cool if it could you could do it more often, but and like if they have to balance the rewards just so you can like play that way, then I think that would be cool. Because
I'm,
different players want different things, right? Some people
yeah.
want to just like blow up maps and clear monsters, and that's cool. There's definitely a lot of opportunity for that right
Oh
now.
yeah.
But for people that are kind of like falling in love with like clearing bosses during the campaign, right? Then you get to maps like just like what you were saying, then like where are they, right? I made a bossing build. I didn't make like all these AoE skills and stuff like blow up screens of mobs. I just want to fight bosses, right? Um, I think they could be more common or have a better way to target it during progression and whatnot.
Here
Even
we
like
go. I saw that I opened the Atlas skill tree this morning for the
yep,
first time and clicked through all the notes. Very cool. There is a boss section of the Atlas skill tree.
yep,
How about an idea like, okay, bosses appear twice as frequently, but if we got to have that downside with the loot, there's like, 25% or 30% less quantity or rarity of items dropping from bosses. Like you can have that trade-off. You can choose to encounter them far more frequently on your maps, but okay, here's this big drawback. Just for those players who do want to chase them and try to get those cool pops, but also fight lots of bosses at the same time. Because
yeah.
you're right. That's what I was sold on, and that it's a big shift. And
I'm
I
on
know
the
it's gonna.
fence of it needing a drawback though, because like if people want to do it, then just let them do it and just change the default rate, and then allow everyone else to like I don't know increase the loot drop or find a different way
I'm
for
fine
everyone
with
else,
that.
right? I'll do it sometimes. So
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just
yeah.
it is the Act One string from the mud burrow to I'd say the graveyard. It's just crazy. It's just boss
Oh
after
yeah.
boss after boss after
Yep.
boss, and it feels so good. I miss it. I think that might be part of it because I like
Yeah.
fighting those guys, and I've just
Yeah.
been clearing the maps, and then I lost my poor bosses because I'm a low skill player and I need to get good, and I just died to some projectiles. What I really need to do is get evasion, and then we'll be
Yeah,
fine.
evasion
So,
projectiles literally no problem. Those quills you're talking about, you can just AFK almost like actually.
oh man, oh I'm so
Probably play with
excited.
one hand if you wanted to.
Oh, hey, be careful now. Don't let them hear
Oh,
you.
oh, no.
No, no.
I watched Crip's video, a little bit of it. He's saying, "Man, I can't do it." Hey, have you tried stacking some evasion? That's what I was
See,
thinking when I
okay,
watched it. So,
no, dude. So I've watched a few reviews. Crips was
yep.
one of them.
Hmm.
It is so interesting
Yeah.
how based on I think it's really the class too.
Oh
How
yeah.
your experience is in POE2 right now. Is that
Totally.
a success or failure of the game? Like obviously they wanted distinct play styles for every
Yeah.
class, but holy crap, how you gonna balance that, dude? It's crazy.
Well, that's their problem, I guess. Our
That's
job is to give the feedback. Their job is to
true.
figure it out.
That's
And
true.
what they said is, we're really good at giving the feedback. They're good at figuring it out. I think it's a good combo. So let's just keep
Exactly.
it
Yeah,
going.
gamers are great at finding the problems.
Not so
Developers
great at solving it. So.
should not great at solving, but developers should be good at finding the solutions. So
Yeah.
that's exactly it. So man, yeah, it's just like and even within the community of like witch players, right? I saw a clip of Asmongold downing the Act
Yeah.
2 boss. He was just like AFK. It was his first time fighting it. Bro, he wasn't engaging with mechanics. I remember on
Minions,
my monk,
man.
I was sweating
Minions.
and shaking. I was like, oh my God, gotta dodge this, dodge this.
I definitely felt that when I played Melee at the June playtest. I think my Melee playthrough is gonna feel really special because, like, if it's like similar, where you have to like jump in and out, really be thinking about things and the size of the packs you pull off. Like, I'm really looking forward to my Melee runs. I think that'd be really exciting.
Are you gonna stream the melee run? Of course.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah,
Oh,
of
heck yeah.
course.
Awesome. Do you think you'll do monk or warrior first for melee?
I don't know. Decide when I got. They're both exciting, right? So like, pick. It's hard to pick, man.
You could
Both.
just do a warrior using a quarterstaff. I hear that could be kind of cool.
Okay, okay. Okay, so I do this weird thing, like, okay,
Yeah.
I definitely do the PoE1 thing as well. It's like, okay, I'm gonna play, like, melee witch or, like, I don't know, bow warrior or something, right? But, like, I also kind of like playing the archetype as intended. I don't
Yeah.
know why, I just like doing that, Like, okay, I'm playing mercenary, I'm gonna play crossbows. I'm playing warrior, I'm gonna go big two-hand bonk or something, right,
Yeah.
Um, eventually, I'll start doing the crazy combos, but yeah, I'm gonna stick to the archetypes for now. So
I think they pulled that off really well. And I also saw the first example in my community of someone making an off meta archetype work. Someone's
yeah,
doing a blood mage with Sunder and maces.
okay, that's pretty
And
cool.
yeah, apparently you can get a big crit on the Sunder, something to do with the blood mage passives on her
Yeah.
Ascendancy, and it scales the bleed and ignite to absurd levels, and they're just one tapping map
Mhm.
bosses, and they're feeling really good about it. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's so PoE. I love it.
That is so PoE for sure.
So that's yeah. There's so many things I want to try, man. I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm gonna do Warrior though. I think it's gonna be Warrior. That's good.
It
Okay.
definitely would be a big change of pace with like the 1.0 attack speed or whatever I've heard. So it would
Oh,
be interesting for sure.
100%. And so did you play what did you play in March? Were you on the Ranger train back in the
March is
playtest?
Ranger, then Monk, and then Mercenary.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, from March to now, what would you say is the biggest change in the game? Like literally not even a year. It's what? It's been what, 8 months
That's
or something.
true, actually.
It's
Yeah.
not been that long. What is the biggest
Yeah.
change in your eyes?
Biggest
Because you
change.
played it 3 times. Yeah, you were
Yeah,
among
yeah.
the elite, dude. You were giving all the feedback,
Good
right?
RNG. Good
So
RNG. Good RNG.
yeah.
March to June, the biggest change was definitely just like more loot dropping early on. That felt good. Uh,
Hmm.
the March version, I heard some people calling the PoE2 we're playing now ruthless. This is not ruthless. The PoE version I played in March, that was ruthless. Like actually,
Terrible.
very slow, no gold, no items, nothing. Um, Now it just feels like definitely get quite a bit of stuff, right?
Oh
Just
yeah.
more items in general, like even more than like June, I'd say.
Oh yeah.
Every playtest just has more items, definitely. Um, what else has changed? I'm trying to think right now.
And they're stocked in like the shops too. So that's what
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
trying to tell people. What they tried to do too by reducing loot on the ground, they put it in the shop. They gave more power to currency. They were trying to make currency a
Oh yeah,
bigger
yeah.
thing early game. So there's multiple
That's
different
true,
avenues.
actually. Yeah. Vendors are really important now, right? Rares, they sell crazy rares now. It's pretty insane.
They're like
So
well rolled.
yeah.
I swear
Oh
they're
yeah,
well rolled.
really good. Magic
Mm-hmm.
items too. Magic items
Yep.
too.
Yep.
Okay, a side thing. What's actually one thing I really like? How you can find these random blue items all leveling, and even like during early like mapping, and they're just like, wow, this really makes my build feel good. I actually just
Mm-hmm.
really like that a lot. Um,
Yeah.
that's
And
just
then
really
just
cool.
attempting to upgrade it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
lucky, dude. I followed Chris Wilson's vision, okay, and I pray to him as I do it, and it
Yep.
does work, okay. I have
Nice.
made some T7, T8 rares using
Okay.
exalted orbs, okay. You
Nice.
just got to do it. Just try praying, you guys. If you say Chris Wilson's name, you circle your mouse cursor with the exalted orb over the item
Yep.
7 times, and then click. It's gonna be a T7, T8 mod without
So the
fail.
pro strategy is to then surround your item with vision ruins. You have to encompass the whole item with a set of vision ruins, right? During the game. So you get a little bit of extra RNG, like 0.3%. So can recommend it.
Oh, that's the way to go. I do have quite a few vision roads, and I like didn't make that exact joke, but I was like, oh yeah, Chris Wilson is smiling right now.
I laugh every time I see the vision rune on the ground. I just like chuckle.
Yeah.
Just too good.
Oh man. Okay, we're closing in about an hour, dude. We talked a
Okay.
lot about feedback, things that we liked from the
Mhm.
game. You love the music. Props to
Yep.
Camille. Props to the entire sound team as well. They've done a great job. If you could give one point of feedback to grinding your games that isn't a hot button issue right now, it could be super minor, like I want to change the value on this ability from point 0.8 to point 0.9, something like that. What would
Okay.
it be?
See, I did write some things down. Just pick just one.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm. Let's see. Let's
Well,
see.
everybody's anxiously awaiting your
Yeah.
second feedback video so that they can chain react to it and then react
Okay.
to the reactions of it
Yeah.
and then watch you react to the reactions on stream. I mean, people are waiting,
I
dude. So
gotta
you better
start
get that video
reacting,
out.
man. This is the meta. I gotta start at some point.
That was wild, dude. Did you expect it to cause that
I
sort of
didn't.
shockwave?
I didn't. I didn't. But apparently, so I spent like a very long time on that video, and people were telling me while I was like working on it, like this was expected. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that was definitely an interesting experience. But to your question, though, I guess I have two threads in my mind, which I've kind of loosely mentioned already. It's like I think it would be really cool if we did not need a filter at all. I like that I do not need a filter in the campaign. Um, Setting up a filter for like late game and stuff, almost feels mandatory with the amount of loot that's dropping. I don't like that. I don't know how they solve it. Like I guess the obvious one's like less loot somehow, but then How do you balance like giving players like actually their items? And then the other one, I know you only asked for one, but this is like kind of the two big ones. Is like
There's no rules.
there's no rules. We break the rules anyways.
We're good.
Just like I think I have to double check if Last Epoch actually does this, but like I think they have this mindset that you can complete the game SSF, right? You can kind of do everything SSF, and I just encourage like more of like keeping that because I know there's like a lot of like trade stuff happening now. You in Crypt's video you mentioned how you can like skip a lot of progression with trade and like yeah he's kind of right. You know I did kind of like I upgraded my gear many times on the way to T10s and I was like okay it's actually a lot faster if I start selling stuff and then I just
Yeah.
buy a 500 DPS crossbow right and you know I definitely zoomed forward a little bit by doing that. Um, So I definitely want to avoid the world where it's like, okay, I need to install like awakened Uber PoE trade macro, price check everything, how many divines or exalts per hour am I farming? I want to avoid that world, and especially the filter world. Um, so bit of a
We
mix of like things there, but that's kind of how I'm feeling.
Well,
But
we're kindred spirits, Havoc, because I hate using outside tools. I just don't like doing it. And maybe you are a POB, you know, you love POB or whatever, but it
PoB
sounds
I
like
don't
you don't
mind.
want to bring a filter in. You don't want to have to use Awakened Trade or go to the
Yeah.
PoE website. You want to just stay in the game itself. And
Yep.
I am a huge advocate of that. Even in PoE 1, dude, I only started using PoB because people are like, what build? What is your build? What's going on?
Yeah.
Okay, here's
That's
my
fair.
shitty build. I'll show it to you. There you go. There's my build. I'm not doing any configurations though. I've never used like Awaken PoE Trade or anything. I play the game just
Open,
fine,
yeah.
but I am
Yeah.
so on board with especially the loot filter. I'm only in T4 maps. I feel like I need a filter right now, dude. Like I was going, I was fine. I was so happy that I didn't need a filter and I could just rely on GGG to put the items on the ground that they
Yep.
think I should have. And I was fine to do it. And then I ran an expedition and a breach.
Oh,
And I was like,
yep.
oh,
Breaches. The
no,
breaches will get you for
no,
sure.
not the breach. Oh God, not the
Yep.
breach. There's already monsters, and now there's loot everywhere. I'm like, okay, well, it's time. It's time to get it. So I hope that there's some tuning to do with that, so that we won't be forced to, because I feel like we are going to be forced to, especially if we are
Yeah.
playing like T15s and going
Yep.
through all the juicing steps and the like.
Yep.
And I don't know if they can necessarily go back on. I mean, now is the time to go back on something like that or
Oh,
try to
for sure.
shift it a little bit. It's early
I think they
access.
will. Yeah,
Everything
they
can
will.
change,
Yeah.
but people are attached to their loot. They love their loot and the like. So, but also on the trade part,
Yeah.
I think. Would you say that right now we're unable to progress in SSF because not all the tools are necessarily there that we would expect, like from Path of Exile 1 and the crafting? Like, say in Path of Exile 1 of 2013,
Yeah.
SSF was probably a hell of a lot harder than trade because the only tools that you had were the very rudimentary crafting bench and then currency
Yeah.
orbs, kind of like what we have now, right?
It's just slower. You can
It is slower.
still do everything. It's just a slower progression curve. That's all.
Okay,
I think you can still do everything right now as
you
well.
can.
That stuff.
Yeah,
It's just gonna be slower, and maybe it's okay, right? Like maybe my feedback's a little bit moot on that point. So I guess I don't necessarily want to spend like a once I have to actually get there to like kind of like make this feedback more relevant. But like if
yeah,
it's like a month or maybe 3 weeks per character for the whole to like experience everything, maybe that's too long.
yeah.
But
I
I,
get
I
that.
don't know yet. I don't know yet. I have to actually like do it first. So
Well, I think Crip said it really well, and it
yep.
spoke to me. He essentially said, and I'm going to butcher his words here, but this
Okay.
was the essence. I'm playing 14 plus hours a day. I'm
Mhm.
finding problems that you will find in a month, person who's playing an hour a day. All right. I'm
Okay.
here right now. I'm telling you, these are issues with the game, and you might love it now, but you will not love it in a month or 2 months, or if you're playing it, all year long. And I'm here to fix those problems. And I like
Good
realized it. It made
mindset.
it
I
click
like
in my
that.
head. Dude, you're so
Yeah.
right. I might never even realize the problems, man. Like you might be fixing problems that I would never even encounter. Like, and it's just a different mindset, right?
Yeah.
So I agree with you there completely. All right, Havoc. Any final words on Path of Exile 2? It's literally been 8 days,
Okay.
9 days.
Controversial opinion. Controversial
Oh,
opinion.
oh.
PoE too good. Okay, but like on a serious note, I think the core of the game is like the base is so good. It just needs like a little bit of like a balance and like fine tuning, and like it's gonna get there. It's gonna get there. For me, it's like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 right now. But like if they keep on iterating and improving and listening to the community and stuff like that, it can become an 11. Honestly,
Awesome.
that's where I'm at right
Thank you
now.
so much for the title of the video, Havoc. I love that you put it right in here at the end, so
No
people listen
worries.
all the way through, right?
Easy. He
I
said
appreciate
what?
it, man.
What did?
Very good. All right. Now, Havoc, I usually do a shout out to one, obviously your Twitch, Havoc616, I believe, on
Yep.
Twitch, yeah?
Mhm.
And YouTube. But man, you got a lot of YouTube
Too
channels.
many
Which one?
channels. Okay,
Which,
we'll just
which
say
one?
Havoc 616 VODs for now. We'll just pick that one.
Okay, Havoc616 VODs is the place to go. Okay,
Yep.
I'll put a link in the description, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you so much to all of you for watching. Make sure to
Thank you for
like the
having
video,
me.
subscribe to the channel, and go head over to Havoc's Twitch and his VODs channel on YouTube. Havoc, man, it has been a wonderful time. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your Sunday nights to talk with me. I really
Thanks
appreciate
so much
it.
for having me. Appreciate it. It was fun.
100%. We'll have to meet a little bit more after we have some more solid opinions. 6 months, 12 months
Sure.
from now, see what the hell is going on with Path of Exile 2. All right.
Or I'll get
Thanks,
you to
man.
react to something sooner than that. So.
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
see.
Okay. Hey, I'm not a reactor. Okay. I don't do that.
We're
yet.
all becoming one anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Maybe.
Maybe.
Nice chat, dude.
Nice chatting. Bye.
All right. Bye.